All right, well, for more on that story, let's go to Tohid Asadi, joining us live from the Iranian capital, Tehran. Tohid, it's morning where you are now, so is there a sense of relief at all from Iranians, perhaps after Trump's latest post?
Well, the reality on the ground, Sarah, is that the Iranians are habituated to dancing with the same old tune. If you look at the President Trump's past statements over the course of a couple of months, we can see that there is a sort of oscillation, sometimes a threatening and very threatening rhetoric from him, and sometimes a rhetoric based on closeness to a deal or negotiations being very successful. So for Iranians, it's like the same old story, but still we know that the public mood here is highlighted by a sense of frustration and uncertainty pertaining to the future as the country stands before a dilemma between confrontation and diplomatic engagement. And also there is a less and less hope when it comes to potentiality for a diplomatic engagement, as people are seeing that the country was in the middle of a process of diplomacy while it faced campaign of unprecedented airstrikes, which not only targeted the military bases or political buildings, but also when it comes to civilian areas, civilian infrastructure, it also included targets in that regard. Meanwhile, we know that there is a sense of resilience and defiance among a segment of the Iranian society. The rally around the flag impact is still out there. And last but not the least, we have to keep in mind that the society is dealing with excessive economic pressure caused by years of sanctions, domestic mismanagement, and of course, when it comes to war, impact is quite tangible.
And Trump says he cancelled an attack, claiming that Iran and other countries asked him to do so. And he says because of, and I quote, parameters of a deal, he says, that have been reached. From where you are, though, is any of that likely from the Iranian perspective?
Again, there is a dilemma in that regard, and the two-sided message that we hear from Tehran is that of readiness for escalation and de-escalation simultaneously. And if you look at the phone calls that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had with his counterparts across the region, including in Turkey and Saudi Arabia, as well as Pakistani officials who are mediating the talks between Iran and the United States, the message there is exactly the same. He's saying that there is readiness for further diplomatic engagement while the doors for diplomacy remain ajar. And also he's saying that the country has the right and will use the right to defend itself, indicative of potentiality for another round of escalation. And that goes the same if you look at the statements coming from IRGC, the Revolutionary Guards, the Joint Military Headquarters of Khatamul Anbiya, or the army of the country, all with a common message that in case of an escalation, there is readiness for a war of attrition, there is a readiness even for a war beyond the region. But all in all, we have to keep in mind that the situation is marked by three important factors. A, ambiguity, as we don't know how the future could unfold. B, the breakability of the situation while we're dealing with the ceasefire. We don't know how it's going to end up at the end of the day. And C, complexity of the situation, as there are a lot of points of contention, a lot of controversies that need to be settled down either with diplomacy or another round of escalation.
All right, thanks very much. Tohid Asadi there, speaking to us from Tehran.